Folks, this is Coach Rich with Endurance Nation, the world's fastest and largest online triathlon team, home of team coaching, the free 7-day trial, and the first-time finisher's guarantee. As you can see, I have significantly upped my game. I have a microphone. I have lights, so you can actually see my eyes. But as usual, I'm making this and will be publishing this in 3 places. Most importantly, it's inside my chat room for my athletes so I can take their questions after this talk. I'm putting it up on Google+, on YouTube, and I'm going to strip out the audio and make a podcast out of it. But we've had a lot of folks join our team in the last couple months. And my athletes are in a place where they're in their out season and they're not necessarily thinking so much about racing. They're more about in a training mode. And I thought this would be a good opportunity for me to step back and relate to them, my vets, my new athletes, and you, the general public, about the history of Endurance Nation, the story of how Rich and Patrick, West Coast, East Coast, Peace Corps, Marine Corps, dogs, cats, got together, fired ourselves as one-on-one coaches in 2007, created something that had never been done before. We're joined by 80 athletes and grew that to over 700 today. Okay, so should be fun. I feel like I should have a beer because I've told this story many, many times with our athletes in more social settings. So to kind of set the stage, let me go back and talk about Rich and Patrick as individual one-on-one coaches. Okay, I started coaching full-time, meaning not as a second job, full-time. I started coaching in probably April of 2001. I started coaching full-time the Friday after Thanksgiving, New Year's in 2001 when I was laid off from my real job. And I had about 8 weeks to figure out how to make a living in Southern California coaching triathletes, okay? And so from 2001 until Patrick and I got together and created Endurance Nation in 2007, I had probably coached 400 to 500 individual Ironman athletes. I had raced by then, I don't know, make it up, 9 Ironmans. I was a team and training coach. I coached a master's club. I started a tri club. I helped Training Peaks create their training platform, training plan platform. I'll talk about that in a second. My point is I did a lot of stuff inside that first 6 years. But fundamentally and most important, this is all I've done. I don't have a second job. This is what I've done. Patrick started coaching full-time, I believe, in about 2004. And so what you have to understand about Patrick and I is we do this full-time, not as a second job. We are 100% committed to creating a secure future for ourselves and our families. And we're both ambitious, thinking outside of the box kind of guys, right? We're not afraid to try things out, but most importantly, we have large goals for ourselves as coaches, as athletes, as business people, and most importantly, as the providers of our futures for our families. Okay, so everything I talk about going forward is framed within that context. Okay, so in 2004, 2005. Okay, so I started Crucible Fitness then in 2001. Had a buddy of mine. He created a website and he installed a forum. So starting right away, I had my own triathlon forum inside Crucible Fitness, it was open to the public. So I was having conversations with my one-on-one athletes, with friends, with training partners. General public would come in, and so I started right away having conversations in forums. At the same time, I was very comfortable writing, very comfortable speaking, and didn't see any value in paying for advertising. So my method of marketing my business, Crucible Fitness, was by teaching, was by If you think you know something, try to teach it to someone who has no idea what you're talking about. Get better at it, and learn through coaching yourself, become a student of the game, and improve my knowledge of what I was doing by forcing myself in a public venue to write and speak and teach other people that. Patrick was doing the same thing as performance training systems in Boston. Then in about 2004, Training Peaks approached me. They wanted to sell. They wanted to create a platform on which coaches could write training plans and sell them as training plan downloads inside a Training Peaks account. So I worked with them to create this training plan platform. And then January 2005, Joanne and I went to Hong Kong for a week. And on the flight over, I wrote about 9 training plans on a 17-hour flight and uploaded them up into Training Peaks. And I started selling training plans on Training Peaks, and then providing a support for those training plan athletes inside my Crucible Fitness Forum. Let me back up. What is that training plan? Okay, I'm a self-coached athlete, and I was also coaching a lot of athletes. And as a self-coached athlete, you experiment with different template training weeks, different mixes of workouts across a week, and over time, you find a template that works. And by template, meaning the workouts you schedule on Monday work with Tuesday, works with Wednesday, flows into Thursday, works with Friday, etc. A template training week. And then you develop a template Ironman or half Ironman training plan, which is a series of those training weeks. And what the template week is. So the template week becomes a training plan by simply extending it. But the basis of the template training week is I found a mix of workouts that worked for me. I applied those to the training weeks of my athletes, meaning when I would bring an athlete on board, I'd say, here is a template training week as Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, mix of workouts, right? This is a schedule of workouts that I found works so that Monday works with Tuesday, works with Wednesday, works with Thursday, okay? Here's this week. This week works. Is there anything in your personal life, work life, schedule, whatever, that does not work within this template training week? Can I sell you on doing a swim on Monday and a long run on Thursday, and this is why I have a second long bike on Sunday, etc.? Can I sell you on this? Does it work for you? If yes, great. I ran with that. If not, then sure. I do the smart guy thing and I move workouts around. But over time, I developed a template training week, which became a template training plan, which became a training plan on Training Peaks that people would purchase, and I would support them in my forums. And so what I had was a solution as a stock training plan that worked for 95% of age group athletes 95% of the time, and I was providing solutions for that 5% that didn't work all the time via support in my forums, content, stuff like that. Okay, Patrick started doing the same thing in about 2005, 2006. At the same time, back in the day, Joe Friel had a coaching association called UltraFit. This was like a coaching business networking organization. Smart guys, successful coaches getting together and sharing business ideas, resources, coaching ideas, just providing a forum where smart coaches could exchange ideas. Patrick and I were both members of UltraFit, and we started sharing ideas. And it was clear that we had similar coaching styles, coaching philosophies, complementary business styles, and complementary goals for ourselves and for our families. So in 2006, in 2006 and 2007, we collaborated on some training camps. And so let's take you to the last weekend in May of 2007. Coach Rich has a training camp on the Ironman Louisville course in early June, and Patrick has a training camp on the Lake Placid course in the middle of June, and then Ironman Lake Placid is the third week of June. So what do? I jump on my motorcycle and I ride. I kind of noodle around through Arizona and New Mexico, and I'm staying in hotels, and then I wake up one day in New Mexico, and I've got like a day and a half to get from New Mexico to Louisville, and I hammer, and then I do my camp, and then I ride up the East Coast through West Virginia and the Adirondacks, and I do his training camp, and then I ride across the northern part of the state, stage my bike in Chicago, fly home, see my sister and the kids visiting, fly back on my bike, ride out to Coeur d'Alene. Patrick and I meet in Coeur d'Alene. Okay. At the same time, he and I were reading The World is Flat by Thomas Friedman. This book talks about how, what are the broad points? The broad points are technology has made it very easy for people who are good at creating content to create content that teaches people and then be able to distribute it for almost nothing. So that you can make a thing and you can have millions of people experience it, watch it, listen to it, read it with almost no production costs. Therefore, people and the business model of being, I'm the smart guy, I know everything, I'm the guy that I only let a few people join me in my little closed room and I teach them and I have secret knowledge. That relationship is ending because of the availability of quality information. Next is the formation of communities and what happens when a quality community is created. And I saw this from 2001 through 2007 when I was selling my training plans. And the dynamic that I saw was my training plan athletes were frankly much more engaged in becoming students of the training game and students of the racing game, because they had to, if they wanted to learn something, they had to read it. They had to participate in the learning exchange. Okay, vice my one-on-one athletes, who, what I noticed was, as my rates got higher and higher and higher, I reached a point at which it was clear that people were paying me to do the thinking for them. And so, which meant that many of them weren't really paying attention to what I had to teach them. They weren't paying as much attention to the training lessons, to the technique lessons, to the racing lessons as the people who I was supporting in a forum. And more importantly, the support and the networking and the sharing of ideas that was happening inside my Crucible Fitness forum was much, much more dynamic. It was much more rich than the support that I was able to give to my one-on-one athletes. Because fundamentally, if my model is one-on-one coaching and I want to teach, and I have to teach you how to race with power, and you how to race with power, and you how to race with power, I basically have a very expensive telephone call with you, and a very expensive telephone call with you, and a very expensive telephone call with you, and emails. But because you're paying me to coach you, I have to have this conversation and that conversation and that conversation. It would be much more effective, I found, if I could create a very, very high quality resource, share it with all three of you in a group format, and we could have an exchange of ideas and a free-flowing conversation, so that while I might know a lot, you know a lot, and you know a lot, and Timmy knows a lot, and if we all get together, we all learn a lot more, and the the depth of our learning experience is much more rich. And this was the dynamic that Patrick and I were seeing inside our respective businesses, as we had one-on-one athletes over here in this corner, training plan athletes over here, and we were supporting all of them inside our forums. Okay, so I ride my motorcycle into Coeur d'Alene, 2007. Patrick flies in, and back in those days, we were probably staying at like a Motel 6. And we meet over gallons and gallons of coffee at Java on Sherman at Coeur d'Alene. And we start thinking about how can we use our training plans, our content, and our forum to coach athletes as a team rather than this one-on-one coaching model. And backing up to what I first said, this shift was driven by our absolute commitment to creating secure futures for ourselves and for our families, because the one-on-one coaching model is fundamentally capped. Its potential is capped. There's only so much of your headspace you can rent. There's only so many camps you can do. There's only so many people that you can coach. So there's that. In addition, the world is changing. The world is changing. You guys see it all the time, okay? All the places where you are exposed to a community-based learning, you can see how valuable that can be if it's done inside a quality space. So we shook hands and basically incorporated, so we called it Endurance Nation, so that we didn't lock ourselves into a triathlon box. And the vision that we had then of Endurance Nation was fundamentally different from where it is now. Okay, we thought that Endurance Nation would be like the Facebook for endurance athletes. If we just created a space where we could get 1,000 people inside a space, then we could monetize that space through other stuff, advertising, sponsors, I don't know. Within about 4 months, we learned that fundamentally what we were was coaches, and people pay coaches to coach them. And so we stepped back from like the social networking component, and we focused more on coaching and training plans and resources to support those training plans. So our first out-season group was October 2007. And Endurance Nation back then was about 80 athletes, as our one-on-one athletes, our training plan athletes, and the people who had been bouncing around in my Crucible Fitness forum and Patrick's forum. We all came together, 80 of us, in October 2007, and we started Endurance Nation. And Endurance Nation then, I don't know if it was right then, but Endurance Nation was $15 a month. You heard me right, $15 a month, okay? That didn't work out so well, because what happened remember what happened in the fall and the winter of 2007? The economy tanked, right? So at the exact point, the two guys who were doing pretty well for themselves in the one-on-one coaching business fire themselves and start this social network model, which didn't work out very well, which then became this $15 a month coaching model. The economy tanks and things just get worse and bad. And so the net is, between October 2007 and probably Ironman Wisconsin 2008, it was tough. It was hard. We bounced around from $15 a month. Then I think we tried like $99 a year so that we could get money up front, frankly. Then it became like $39 and $59. I don't know what it was, but basically Patrick and I said, hey folks, there is no Endurance Nation with Rich and Patrick broadcasting via stolen Wi-Fi from a cardboard box under the freeway. That's just not going to happen. So it took us a good year to figure out that what the final model was going to be, right? And so we kind of turned a corner as a financially viable business, I would say September 2008, okay? Since then, there have been big changes, incremental changes to our coaching style, the website certainly, our training plans, the delivery of service model, what you pay us for, what you get, in what platform does it happen, how are we creating content around that, how do we give that to you, how often do we do that. Rich and Patrick were both going to every Ironman up until around 2010, I think. Starting in 2011, we backed away from that. We kind of, split the races into territories. He's got his, he's got mine. But the net is, what we when we started Endurance Nation, Patrick and I knew that we knew how to coach people. We knew that we knew how to write training plans. We knew how to create content. We knew how to teach people how to modify those training plans and help them solve that 5% via supporting content and forums. What we didn't anticipate, and what is so hard for us to convey to people on the outside, is just how cool and the richness of the experience is for the richness of the space that our athletes have created for themselves. And when I say for themselves, it truly is, they have built it, okay? The analogy that Patrick and I like to think of is like, we own a nightclub. And our job is to make sure that so we own a nightclub and you come inside, we let you in for free. We give you 7 days to experience our nightclub, and inside the nightclub, everyone has, my name is Jim Smith. They're not Try Guy 9000. They're not Sexy Legs 5000. They are Jim Smith, Mary Johnson, Billy Jones, okay? First name, last name. Everyone in there has had a ton of content on the outside to decide, these guys are totally whack, or this guy totally makes sense. I want to try it out. And they've had 7 days to come on inside to experience our team coaching method and decide for themselves if this is a good fit for them, their personality, their coaching needs, their training needs, their racing needs. Our job then is, as coaches, is to make sure that, that the beer's cold, that the food's hot, that the music's good, that you're learning stuff, that the conversations are going. But the individual conversations that are happening are completely a credit, or have been built by and are sustained and are a credit to the quality of the athletes that we have inside. And by athletes, when I say quality athlete, I'm not talking about fast person, smart person. While we certainly have those, what's fundamentally different is these are good people. These are cool. These are people that you want to have a beer with. These are people who will give you the shirt off their back on race day, okay? It's just, Patrick and I have the best gig in the world. Straight up, hands down, done, end of podcast. It's just such a cool space. So the history is, two guys who have a fundamentally different perspective on the sport and on their coaching businesses, which is framed by the fact that we have to create a secure future for our families, okay? We did a lot of things as one-on-one coaches. We were successful at it. We saw weaknesses in that model. We saw opportunities that technology was opening up. We saw opportunities with regards to creating content, creating a brand, demonstrating knowledge of a topic by teaching rather than advertising. We fired ourselves as one-on-one coaches. We struggled big time financially for about a year. We're talking like, a couple days away from being homeless. It was rough. We turned a corner. We have continued to improve our game, to make sure the beer is better, the food is better, the beer is cold, the music's kicking. Thinking outside of the box of how can we do it better? How can we learn? What have we learned? How can we coach our athletes better? How can we create better resources for them? How can we create a better race weekend experience for them? A better race weekend experience for their families? How can we make them go faster? All right, and how can we do it in a manner which is sensitive to their commitments, to their families, their lifestyle, and the fact that this is all just a game. Okay, so that's where we are right now. The future of Endurance Nation. Patrick and I have started getting out of the way. Frankly, a lot of what you guys see and experience every day is done by Rich and Patrick. And at the end of the day, Endurance Nation right now is Rich, Patrick, Mariah, Brenda, and Ann. And we have a couple, and Grant, and we have a couple other kind of subcontractors out that we kind of pull in for technical help to work up a podcast or a movie or something like that. But that's it. That's what we are. So we are doing a better job. Patrick and I are doing a better job of stepping back from a lot of things and finding people to do things that we're not good at, that they are good at, have them do it, so that we can focus on what we do really well, which is coaching you, which is teaching you, which is leading you, and we can get out of the way of the technology piece, and we can get out of the way of the social media marketing piece, because I don't want to do it. And so we have plans to always get better, always figure out ways to make you faster, and always figure out ways to make your Endurance Nation experience cooler. And I'd say that our major initiative for 2015 is figuring out how can we leverage the resources that we have to create a very unique Endurance Nation experience for you on race weekend. What we did at Ironman Arizona was probably close to what we can achieve, or it was a prelude to what we think we can do for several Ironmans next year, which was a team dinner for our athletes. We've been doing that for years. Folks on the outside, we have every U.S. Ironman, we typically have between 18 to 48, 50 athletes racing. Thursday of the race, we put on a team dinner for them. So it's an opportunity. We have a very strict dress code. No technical shirts are allowed. No finisher shirts. Nothing with an M dot. Natural fibers, guys in collars, and we do everything we can to have you not talk about triathlon. This is our athletes' opportunities to meet each other and relate to each other as real people first, triathletes second. Those that violate my strict dress code buy us beer. Okay? And then we do a 4 Keys talk on Friday. These were done in the grass. Now we're renting out theaters. At Arizona, we made EN Kids shirts for the children of our athletes and encourage them to race in the Iron Kids race. And then because I'm tired of having no one to hang out with the night before the race, I fired up a thank goodness I'm not racing party at Arizona for all of the athletes who are in town to volunteer to register for Arizona. So we think that we'll be able to do that little event at a couple races next year. So that's our big initiative, is to make race weekends really, really cool and impactful for you, but also for your families. And one little idea is like an EN Mate program where because you're too busy to think about it, I drop on your spouse's lap at the dinner a little goodie bag, and there's a thank you card and a Starbucks card and a mini bottle of or 3 of vodka that your spouse can enjoy while you are racing. That's one of our ideas. But that's it. And then yeah, I mean we're just two guys making it up as we go, you know. And but hopefully what I've tried to teach you is we know what we're doing as coaches. We know how to coach athletes. But the venue and the method that we do it in is fundamentally different from how other coaches do it. You ask yourself, does this team coaching method work? We've grown from 80 athletes to 600 plus. We are the Ironman Tri-Club World Champions for 2013. We're on our way towards winning that for 2014. We had 13 to 15 athletes racing Kona. We've had podium finishers, blah, 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 all the like performance stuff that you want to talk about. But most importantly, we have a very, very cool space of athletes who've been with us for a long time. So you new members who are watching this, hopefully this makes me and Patrick and Endurance Nation more real to you. You understand where we are coming from, and it gives you a bit more insight into the athletes who've been with us for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years. These people have been with us through lots and lots of changes, and so folks, thanks for listening. I'm going to go in now and take training questions from my athletes inside my forum. Okay. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. This concludes the public portion of this broadcast.